Before I really start, I want to show or give some remark to the R journal, which shall have a teaching column. And as you are all interested in teaching, probably teaching by yourself, it could be something of interest because the R journal is interested in teaching material, which could be lessons, could be nice packages, but also in research about teaching and all that stuff. So please, you are very welcome to send some material to the R journal, and we can really add this teaching column to the next issue of the R journal. Okay, but now coming to my talk about student performance and acceptance of technology. That was a little research done about an introductory course of statistics. It's a co-joint work with Carsten. Carsten is a colleague of mine at the FOM. It's a university in Germany, rather big, but I will talk about this a little bit later. So, what I'm talking about, why are we doing this? We changed our complete curriculum, how we did it, about the evaluation and about the lessons learned. What did we do? We changed the complete curriculum and tried to improve the conceptual understanding of statistical. So we went from the standards with the standard norm, distribution and so on to trying to teach statistical understanding by simulation and randomization. And it was a very disruptive process because we changed our curriculum over the whole university in one term, and okay, we just started. Let's see what comes out. Why did we do that? If you look at the learning outcomes, only a few students will see statistics like this. That's the same what you said. Yeah? We probably see one little part of the big puzzle. The better students might get an impression like this. So, okay, they see a little bit of the building and so on, but most of the students will stay much too close to the picture and see only disconnected details. Therefore, that's the way how statistics was taught in Germany, at least over the past decades. Yeah? And so there are new approaches around, for example, simulation, randomization, and creating the distribution under H0 by simulation. A few words about the FOM. It's one of the largest private universities in Germany, specially oriented to people who are working while studying. So we are teaching in the evenings, on the Saturdays. We have about 400 professors and numerous freelance lecturers in about 30 locations all over Germany. Therefore, we have a very broad range of teachers as well, also in the statistics. And we are offering part-time Bachelor and Master programs in very different fields, normally connected in a way to economics. We have some institutes. I'm from the Institutes of Empirical Research and Statistics, and we are supporting the whole university in the statistics courses. Therefore, we are developing new curricula and all that stuff. What's our idea? Or it's not our idea, basically. So if you look into the guidelines of assessment and instruction in statistical education, one should teach statistical thinking. Yeah? And that's our idea as well. So therefore, we try to focus on conceptual understanding now, and that's the idea. If you look on one citation from Kopp of already 10 years ago, he was in simulation-based inference as well, and even 10 years ago he already said, okay, now the computer power is large enough that we can do simulation, and in former times there was no alternative, now there's no excuse, but still 10 years later, or 11 years later, the teaching is based on reliance on the normal still. So therefore, we have to move ahead. With help of the statistical computing, we want to enable the students to compute with data and to really get an introduction into data science as well, because it's a very, very important knowledge nowadays. And also we want to blur the lines between lecture and labs. That's a very important thing. So we realize that they can use day-to-day data for their evaluation. How did we do that? For us, a very important package was a mosaic package, because that changed the approach how to do statistics in R, because it makes it very easy. Probably you already know this package very well. Basic approach is my analysis with Y against X and with some data. It's a kind of literate programming, yeah? What do I want the computer to do, and what does the computer need to know? That's the basics in the mosaic package. And with the mosaic package, it's very easy to do simulation-based inference. So bootstrapping, for example, it's like do 10,000 times and calculate whatever statistic, and the same goes for randomization, and with one you can get the distribution of the test statistic and the confidence interval, for example. With the other, you will get the distribution of the statistic on the H0, so you can get the p-value from it. And it really makes that the student get really an impression about what does it mean to draw a sample by a random. Yeah, that's a very important thing. Okay, so we changed the curriculum, and therefore we do an evaluation about it, whether it really helps or not. How did we do that? We used a questionnaire with 27 questions based on UTAUT2, which is a unified theory of acceptance and use of technology, so you can get an impression about of the usage and the usability of technology. And the second part comes from the CAOS. It's a comprehensive assessment of outcomes in statistics, because we want to know whether our students learned something with a new approach. That was a most important thing. We did it in the summer term. The pre-test was performed in the beginning of the semester, directly after the first introduction to R. So in the first, at the end of the first or second date where we did R directly with the students. And the post-test was done at the end, but now it's important because I want to use the results. We did it quite early, so it was, for example, before linear regression, just after all that inference stuff. We did a pairwise test, so therefore, finally, we had quite a large number of returns, but in the pairwise testing, it was not that much because, okay, some answered the questionnaire in the beginning, but not at the end. All that usually stuff you have. If you know something about UTAUT2, they have several constructs. So, for example, what is the expected effort to do or to use this technology? Or what do I expect in regard to the performance? Do I have everything what I need? And do I really like to use it? These are the constructs we used. Others we didn't use because that doesn't fit into the setting, because they don't have to buy something and so on. And we checked these constructs using a principal components analysis. Again, we got 4 principal components. but they were quite different to what we expected, actually. So the component 1 was almost the expected effort. Okay, that fits quite well. But 2 and 4 was quite different because it was a setting of different items. But again, 1 is focusing on work and the others on study. Remember that our students are people who are working while studying. So therefore probably the focus on work is very important, or they really do it differently. Now the bad news. The bad news was all values went down. So the expectations in the beginning, when we did the first R session, was quite high. The students were quite happy, but after they used it for a while, everyone says, no, it's not mine, or it's not that good. And that's a pity, because we would have expected, okay, after doing quite easy things with the computer and so on, and seeing, okay, how it works, everyone would at least a little bit, it would go a little bit higher. But if you see, look at the numbers, all scores went down. What could be the explanation? Okay, we had probably did a good marketing in the beginning, and we showed some graphs with R, which is always very good, and it was quite easy to use. But afterwards, when they really had to type a little bit at least, it becomes difficult. And then it comes, okay, we did it before the real modeling starts. That could be a problem too, because I think that's something important, because they want to see, okay, where can I use it? And that probably was too early. That's what I said in the beginning. Second part of the evaluation was regarding the outcome in statistics. They were all single choice questions regarding several things, okay, inference, causality, and so on. And we just counted all numbers together in one score. And luckily here all students improved over time. In average they had a higher score at the end. Here you see the detailed numbers for Bachelor and Master students. The Bachelor or the Master students in absolute numbers were a little bit higher, and they were a little bit higher in the beginning. Okay, that's to be expected. We have an introductory course in the Bachelor programs and also in the Master programs, but normally the Master students should know statistics, so it was expected that it be higher. But the relative increase of the Masters was a little bit lower compared to the Bachelors. Okay, what did we learn from that? Many students are not familiar with typing without autocorrection. So everyone is used now to autocorrection, and R does not have autocorrection. It's a pity. A lot of trial and error, and something what especially here in Germany, we need an introductory textbook which uses simulation-based inference. Yeah? There's none on the market so far. We used the English book, which was free of charge, but especially in the Bachelor courses, that's a really hurdle to read it in English. And for the teachers, we need a lot of convincing our teachers to use this new approach, so that will improve hopefully in the future. We will continue our study, and I'm interested to see whether we can improve the results over the next years. So we will follow up with the questionnaire. And also, we have to do something to integrate more real-life samples. That was something what our students said to us, that it's too theoretical. It's not theoretical, it's not true, but that's nothing to do with their work or with their real life. And we need to do more training for the teachers. That's important as well, to encourage them to use a new approach And okay, for our survey, we need to increase our sample sizes. Thank you very much.
All right, that was bang on 15 minutes exactly, so we have 5 minutes for questions.
Thank you. So you mentioned that one possible reason for the not so optimal result is possibly if your post-test too early, which was before the regression modeling started. So what's the reason for you to make that decision in the first place? Why didn't you wait until the very end? Because as you mentioned, they had a very sharp learning curve at the very beginning, which can be frustrating. But with time going on, when they are getting familiar with everything, maybe the frustration will kind of disappear.
Okay, I unfortunately cannot repeat the whole question, but okay.
The thrust of the question seemed to be why is the post-testing so early? Maybe the frustrations are getting in the way.
Okay, yeah. The reason is I'm here, so I have to get the data before the end. Before the end of the term. So we thought it would be late enough, but after seeing the results, we thought, okay, in the future we have to do it later, yeah, after modeling, for sure.
You are a victim of this conference.
Yeah, I'm victim of this conference, right?
Any further questions for Matthias? Yes, up the back.
You said there was no autocomplete in R. We're teaching it in R, not RStudio.
No, okay. The question was whether there's no auto-correction in R. Now, we are doing teaching in RStudio, and there's some kind of auto-correction, yeah, but it's more difficult to select because you have to go through several choices, yeah. So it's not that easy as they're used to, yeah, because if they write a mail, yeah, in some mail program, okay, then you can get the autocorrection quite automatically. So it's just an impression. We didn't evaluate it, but it was an impression because if I type one line of code, it takes quite a while until everyone got it, yeah, to work, yeah, and that must be a reason. Okay, it's difficult. Oh, what do I? Copy paste is difficult as well because I always say, okay, now I change only this little thing, copy the line number, blah blah blah, to the last line. It doesn't work. It's really funny, yeah.
Any further questions for Matthias? No, then let's thank him again.